Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is John with Super Deformed Gamescast, and we're not a full episode tonight. We're gonna go for about an hour. We wanted to get together, and some of us, and talk about our thoughts on Final Fantasy 15, which of course 10 years in the making. It's been a long 10 years, and it's finally here. We've all had some a very healthy amount of hands-on time with it this week. I think we're all probably about halfway through the game now, if not over that. And so I feel,
it's 3/4.
So I feel like
I mean, just for the story, obviously, like there's late game stuff.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of late game shit.
Lots of late game stuff.
So we're gonna talk about our impressions here and what we think so far. We've already got some people filing in the chat, so that's cool. And since Jeff has got to leave very soon, we're gonna go ahead and let him give his thoughts first. So why don't you go ahead and let us know what you're thinking, man?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good game. Like the story, I don't know what to say. It's hard to. I hate judging games like all in when I haven't finished it, because obviously everything could come together at the end. But from everything I hear, I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. The game's actually gotten better as I went on. I think the beginning was the worst. I didn't watch Kingsglaive or any of the anime shit.
Neither did I.
I'm just gonna play the game. I'm just gonna play. If Kingsglaive was at least on the disc, I was like, maybe I would have given it a chance. But I'm not gonna go.
It was for me. I got the deluxe edition.
I still probably couldn't be bothered.
I still didn't. I still don't.
Hours or whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna start playing the game, man. I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I don't want to get into any spoilers here because I'm sure there's a lot of people that haven't played it, even though this happens like right at the beginning of the game. But just the way it's set up, there's a big event that takes place in a certain city, and I felt like there's no backstory on what that city is or the significance of it or the event.
I think that's
itself.
okay for just that one specific scene.
Yeah, I think that's
it is.
Right.
Yeah, but it just the way the characters react to it, it makes it really hard to identify with it, and it's kind of.
I feel like that's still all done on purpose, because there's definitely spots in the game where it's like they just didn't have time to work on this. But I think the intro worked for what it was going for, even without the context. Obviously,
there is still some weird stuff because man, it's so hard to talk about this without spoiling.
It's the first 2 minutes of the game.
2 minutes. Yeah, I mean,
okay, so I can go ahead and spoil this.
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't consider a spoiler because it happens in the first 2 minutes of the game. So
okay, so
it's like you don't even know like what it means anyways. So
if you're still on blackout and you haven't even played the game yet, then for whatever, fuck off.
Play the game and then listen to this.
And then listen to this.
If you're gonna be upset about us talking about the first 2 minutes of the game, then like, can you even talk about any of it?
Just go
even outside all that stuff, and then you're like, oh my god, we got to see this for ourselves, and you kind of go on this thing, and you're trying to get a good view of it, and I feel like you didn't see shit. Like, there's like a little bit of, I don't know, I couldn't even see what was happening. There was all the ships flying overhead, but there was like a little bit of smoke and a hill. Like, I didn't see, I don't know, it felt like really anticlimactic, I guess.
It kind of reminded me a little bit of what Lufia 2 did, where it showed that Lufia 2 starts off with, Lufia 1.
I was gonna say that's I know what you're referring to, and that's Lufia.
Lufia 1 starts off with the ending of Lufia 2.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. Yep.
Yeah, and so they try to do like the little shift in time thing. I think it's cool. I think it worked. It worked in Lufia, and I think it works here.
Yeah, and maybe I'll feel different when I'm done everything and when I've kind of seen everything in more context. It was just not the way it started. I guess wasn't what I expected.
It's definitely unlike any other Final Fantasy.
And then and then just the stuff after that, I felt like the first few chapters, I was like, all of a sudden I'm looking for summons, and I'm like, what? Like there was an explanation given, but I didn't really feel. And then there's a crystal, and I feel like they didn't say anything about a crystal. Like all of a sudden I'm just got to get this crystal, and I'm like, what the fuck is this crystal?
I feel like I'm
an important crystal.
Close attention to this game, and I'm lost a lot of the time on like
who the fuck is Jared?
Yeah,
I have no idea who Jared is.
Okay, so I can
absolutely
answer this.
no idea.
I had to look out. I had to look in lore outside of the game, but he is actually Noctis's. Yeah, he's Noctis's butler.
I had to Google FFXV Jared.
Because I was like, who the fuck is Jared?
So he was like his butler whenever they were still in
royalty. When
it reminds me of
Insomnia.
Yeah, well, like I love 15 so far, but like no game is perfect, and like their relationship reminds me of like if you've ever seen Spider-Man 3. And, Harry Osborn and his butler, who all of a sudden is like, your friends love you, Harry. And I'm like, thank you, wise old butler.
Where the fuck were you?
Fucking,
Every butler has to be Alfred.
But just like in Spider-Man 3, like it makes it. I'm like, you know, like you expect me to buy into this, but anyway, like that's getting too far ahead of the game. I don't know.
It's just lots of stuff like that where you just feel like lots of context is missing from.
Yeah, I haven't met the butler, but I met the dog, and like that's just a quick like, hey,
Oh, nice.
this dog is like a mailman or something.
Yeah, the messenger dog. Yeah.
Quick flashback to when you were 12.
And there's no
I think
context to
that's
that either.
There's no context, but I think that's a cool touch, you know,
I do
because they
too,
like
yeah.
try and like tell us a backstory through this vehicle where you're like also, you know, in touch along the way. And I think that's like one of the best parts of the story because everything else is just a disaster in my opinion.
Yeah, let's
like,
be clear. They focused on an open world with a lot of shit to do in it. Not all of it fun.
Yeah,
but
and I don't feel like the story is bad. Like it's like your standard JRPG story. It's the narrative. Like it's the way it's delivered and the information is just not.
Yeah, and like my thing with that is like they've had enough time now to like clearly think out like how this is going to be presented to the gamer. So why present it in this convoluted way? Like
I think
10 years.
It's incoherent in a different way that Final Fantasy 13 was, because Final Fantasy 13 overloaded you with so much information. Like they were hitting you from every side. Like 10 minutes in the game, it's just like I should be.
I remember like the opening 5 minutes of Final Fantasy 13, and I was like, hold on, what the fuck is a Lassie? What the fuck? They
give you all this shit. They dump you into the world.
Like
Whoa,
Saz,
I got to read a fucking book.
I remember there's like they're on the train and Saz leans into the camera. He's like, "Don't worry, I'm not on the sea." And the chocobo comes out of his afro, and I was like, "What the fuck is happening?"
They nail you with all that lore in the front. You get overwhelmed. Final Fantasy 15 is exactly the opposite. You're looking for it, and it's just not there.
Now, I was gonna say, like,
go ahead,
in hindsight, that's I was just thinking when we were talking about the butler and all that stuff. I was like, okay, well then they put a playable prologue chapter where you're in the main city and you meet your butler and you kind of walk around. But then I'm like, well then that's the same thing. Like I appreciate the fact that they're just like, fuck it, like you're just out in the world and go. Like so I don't know what I want or what the answer is.
It feels like the outline.
But I do respect that they kind of right off the bat just dump it there.
Yeah.
It feels like the highlights of a script, not the full script.
I was looking for pieces of the story, and so I was just looking at my map and like what I could go to, and I picked up some treasure, and then right near that was kind of like a golden symbol I was not yet accustomed to. So I walked out there, but the mobs were much higher. So I was going through these like epic battles with wildlife to get to this random symbol that I had no idea what it was. I finally like beat everything. I used a bunch of potions. Me and my crew were like almost dead. And I finally get to the symbol, and it was potatoes. I'm like, what? I thought this was much more relevant to the story.
The same thing happened to me, but it was like cloves. I was like, well, cool, dude. But Ignis whipped me up a fucking 6 stew that night, so I guess it was worth it.
Yeah, it's all about the stew.
But like, so...
Sorry, I'll just finish up.
No, Jeff. No, Jeff. Go ahead, yeah.
No, that's all right. I like hearing other people's takes too. No, I was gonna say. So once I stopped getting caught up in the details and trying to understand everything that's going on. And not that this is how it should be. I feel like it should be done better. But when I just kind of take what it gives me and just go with that, it started becoming a lot more fun. Even when shit wasn't making sense, there's some cool action scenes. There's some really good stuff in there. And for the stuff I really like, the combat's really fun. I had some problems with the camera. You guys recommended switching it to far, which helps a lot if anyone's getting the camera cut up and stuff. Do that. And like I guess the personalities of the characters, like they feel like there's camaraderie there. I love Prompto's photos. That's one of the best features of the game.
Yeah, I agree.
The only thing that I wish was going to happen, I don't think is there's no. The characters are likable, but you don't get to know them. It's like in Final Fantasy VII. You get Cosmo Canyon for Red 13's backstory. You get Dyne for Barrett. You get like Tifa and Cloud. You get to know the characters, and I feel like in this one they're just there, but there's nothing deeper. And
I mean, even FFA has the
just a little. I would like a little bit more.
Even if people don't like the orphanage thing.
Yeah, like I would like to get to know
backstory.
So like I feel like I kind of feel like I see where you're coming from. But the way I see it is that those relationships are being built continually throughout the game. That sense of camaraderie that it's these 4 bros on a road trip, and it's these little conversations that kind of slowly drip feed those same like deep character-driven story moments.
And the dialogue is so different from any other Final Fantasy game. It's
because
so
it's just
much
like four
more
dudes talking to each other.
It's so much more relatable. Like and it feels like grounded in reality in a way that the dialogue of no other Final Fantasy is. Like this game almost feels like it's taking place in our world
What's a
of
fantasy based in reality?
the way they talk. Like they talk like people in 2016 talk. Whereas I feel like no other Final Fantasy, every other Final Fantasy game tries to base its dialogue around like the world that the game is taking place in.
Well,
it feels very different.
There's one moment in that first dungeon where like you're sliding through the ice caves, and Prompto says, "Dude, your tips are frosted," and Noctis is like, "Yeah, how does it look, bro?" And I'm like,
yeah,
it's.
I just got a scene where we were rescuing a chocobo, and then like we finished it, and Prompto's like. He's like, I say something like, I love chocobos, and he's like, I'm really into chocobos, and he's like, and then Gladio's like, you're really into chocobos, and he's like, there's no wrong way to love a chocobo. It's like this huge inside joke about like things like you wouldn't hear that kind of a dialogue on any other Final Fantasy game.
But Brandon, do you think you can ride this chocobo?
I'm sure Prompto can ride that chocobo.
I fucking love Crazy Chocobo. Jeff,
I'm kind of sad it's not on the FF13.
Yeah, that is a little disappointing.
Well, they don't even have an FF13 disc.
Do they not?
I don't think so. It's just FF13.
That's a shame. It'll be downloadable content. Jeff, you got anything else, man? I know you're trying to get out of here.
No, that's all. I'll catch up on the rest of your guys' takes when I get home, I guess.
All right, we'll try to make them hot for you, man.
I hope so. All right, take care, guys.
All right, buddy.
Yeah, see you.
There's so much to like about the game, though.
So yeah, and that's the thing. Like, so there have been a lot, and I kind of wanted to give my cut on the story real quick.
It's so easy to complain about, but it's so easy to like as well.
Well, like for me, like I feel like some people, not everybody, but I feel like some people are looking at the story, I just not in the wrong way, but through the wrong lens is a better. So like, if you haven't played the game, going into Final Fantasy 15, don't expect the story to be handled like other Final Fantasy games, right? Like there's the background of like there's an evil, like it has all the elements of like a classic Super Nintendo Final Fantasy. There's an evil empire. They're oppressive, and you got to try to stop
literally
them.
The Empire.
It's the Empire, but this is and I can't bring myself to say Nilfheim because that's the worst fucking name for anything ever.
What's the slang term they use for them?
Nifs, the Nifs.
Nifs.
The Nifs. Yeah, I'm like, this sounds like a drug. You're like, bro, come to the bathroom. We're gonna do some Nif. But I feel like the real story is the relationship between the four bros, and a lot of people say, well, Luna Freya isn't in the game much, and so far she's not. Like I'm on chapter 7.
Yeah, I played 26 hours of the game, and I've seen her in I think one cutscene.
Yeah, so she I have not.
Two
I have heard she factors much more heavily in the back half of the game.
I'm on chapter 8. So,
but like I feel like the real love story in the game is the four bros. Like
absolutely,
that is the focus. And again, full disclosure, I have not hit the second half of the game. I'm almost there. I'm going to do nothing but play this weekend. I'd like to try to beat it by Sunday, and so I can start diving into the end game stuff. And I'll do 3 playthroughs because I always do for Final Fantasy games. I played them 3 fucking times. But I feel like people are looking at the story through the wrong kind of optics, right?
Well,
I don't know. Does that make any sense to you guys? Or
yeah.
I feel like people are being overly critical of this game just because it is a huge franchise.
That was inevitable. Yeah.
I mean, like people are going to nitpick about stuff regardless, but especially fans of the franchise. Like, I mean, people have been playing it since the first one, like you guys. And me being kind of like an outsider looking in on this, like this is my first Final Fantasy I've played more than 30 minutes. Like, I still see those same things that people are complaining about, but I'm not. I don't overlook them as easy as
like most.
Yeah.
Well, JT, it's because you don't have that. Because I mean, let's face it. Like, if you go on GAF, a lot of people who are, and we're all on GAF, a lot of people who are bitching about some of the story presentation in 15. Like, I totally get where some of these guys are coming from, but you can tell it's coming from a place of this is not what Final Fantasy is supposed to be, right? And I feel like you don't have that relationship with the series, so which is why I actually was most interested in getting like an opinion from somebody like you who doesn't have that emotional investment.
Yeah, so like I feel like I love the relationship of the four bros too. Like that is something that you can come into the game completely unaware of anything else in the Final Fantasy franchise and still think like, oh, this is cool. Like this is great storytelling.
I mean, has that been attempted before? Like just a bro road trip?
I don't
Well,
think so.
I was gonna say like this game, and I'm probably going to, for lack of a better term, this is 2016, trigger Brandon on this.
Shit.
But I feel like like playing this game, I feel like this reminded me a lot of Dragon Age Inquisition a lot.
Ooh.
You have the same banter between your squad mates as you're walking around the world, the same like combat system, because I'm playing an option C, and so it's like hold R2 to win basically. It's like because that's your like auto attack, that's your main like that's your circle button for the option one. And so like it's not exactly like Dragon Age, but it just feels like it. You have like your auto attack, and then you have your different spells.
I mean, yeah,
I can see the likeness.
Holding the attack button down works on trash mobs, but it always has in every Final Fantasy. If you got into a
no,
you can
like
hold
the combat,
the X button down and get through it, and that's fine.
I love the combat. Yeah, I like started a Witcher 3 earlier, and I was like, man, like I kind of want to just like hold the button to parry and block like Final Fantasy. Like I found myself loving the combat. Like that to me, being an outsider to the franchise, is the best thing about this game. That is like by far and large the winner. If you take nothing else away from Final Fantasy 15, it's like the combat and
and that's the thing. JT's like somebody told me they said I beat the game by just holding that circle button. I was like, you're full of shit, because
total bullshit.
Like,
they didn't do a single hunt then. They didn't do a single fucking hunt.
It's overly simple, but it's not.
I mean, that's true. That's true to the series roots.
Yeah.
I mean, you had the enemies line up on the left side, and your party lines up on the right side, and you select attack from a menu, and you watch them go across the screen. That's like
it's still fun. It doesn't get old to me. And I still look for whenever I'm transversing to a different place. Like I look for the battles. Like I don't want to just I'm always looking for the next battle because it's fun. Like I enjoy the combat. And that's what I feel like this game does best. It's like we've mentioned it a couple times. We've been talking about this game all week in our DM, our private DM. And like this game's combat, I feel like could be taken out of this particular game, put in a different game, and just have it be combat only, and it'd be fantastic. Like this game this combat system in like a Monster Hunter game would be amazing.
I mean, that's probably what the DLC is going to be.
I think that'd be awesome because I love my favorite battle so far has been one. It's like how like when you're driving somewhere and they say, oh hey, do you want to stop here and like take this picture, or do you want to stop here and like do this like side quest or whatever? It was like in a dungeon where I was like walking up a stream, and then at the end was this big monster that reminded me of like a Rathios or Rathian or something.
Is it the Bandersnatch?
Monster Hunter. It might have been, yeah.
Yeah, I just fought the Bandersnatch before we came on the podcast.
That was an awesome.
Iris is with you, right? Iris is with you.
The sister, yeah.
Yeah.
And she like heals you, and she has like that.
That's
the teddy bear over her head.
It's a Moogle. God damn it!
But, see, like that's what I don't know.
But no, I know exactly what you're talking about. When you stop, you're like, "Do you want to go explore this area?" And you drive down the dirt road, and the Bandersnatch is there. That big fucking
See, like I loved like that. First of all, that guy looked fucking awesome. He looked incredible. Like,
it's a classic Final Fantasy creature.
The monster designs are incredible, especially when you see them close up in like the Prompto shots.
Yeah, everything. Like that one, that I think it's like one of the first dungeons that you do. It's like at nighttime, you come around the corner, and there's the big. You guys are gonna kill me for not knowing the name, but it's the big snake that's like level 50.
Midgar.
Yeah, exactly.
In FF7, it's called Midgar
And then like
just
it's
a
kind of
bad
like a Dark
translation.
Souls type thing where you like start walking up to it, you see his level, and you're like, nope, and you
Yeah,
like
that's
go
what I
back.
Yeah, you keep going right. You keep going right.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Like the enemies in this game are awesome, and that's why I think the combat is engaging too. Is because like these are awesome things that you're fighting.
I mean, so JT, that's an especially awesome moment for Final Fantasy, longtime Final Fantasy fans, because that monster's from Final Fantasy VII, and you actually there's like a side quest where you have to get through a swamp where he's like going through, and the only way to get through it is to catch a chocobo, and you can ride the chocobo across. That's one of the most like memorable parts of that game.
Brandon,
But once you cross the swamp, hold on, the thing that makes it special is once you cross the swamp, you see that Sephiroth has already been past where you're going through, and he put one of those motherfuckers on this giant wooden stake. And you can just see like all the blood coming down it, and it's just like this awesome moment from FF7.
That's
so, like,
really cool.
That moment, like in FF15, you're like, oh shit, it's one of those.
Brandon or JT, you really have to go back and play 7 after you finish 15.
Yeah, so like that's another thing I was gonna say. I feel like I'm talking too much for not being a fan of this.
No.
But
That's why I feel
cool.
like
you don't even have to be a fan to be like.
And JT, I guess that's what I want to ask you, man. Is like before you do anything, as soon as you boot the game up, there's a message that says a Final Fantasy for fans and first timers.
Yeah, exactly.
And as a first timer, do you feel so far like this is a good toe dipping point into the series for you?
Absolutely. I feel like it is the most accessible one so far. I've tried multiple ones, and everything feels so much better, like getting into it. And, like it's kind of modern in its design where it's, I say modern, but then I feel like it kind of has one foot in the 1990s as well. But no, I mean, like the combat system and like the open world and stuff, like the control scheme and everything, I feel like it is the most accessible one to get into.
I agree. I played every single one. And I agree.
Yeah, not knowing anything else about the Final Fantasy franchise, but you don't have to because they're all separate stories. But the thing I wanted to say was, me being the first time, this being my first Final Fantasy game, it makes me want to go play the others. Just because of the setting, it's so cool. It's kind of like
It just makes me happy to hear you say that.
I mean, it has a lot of reverence for the old Final Fantasies. It's even just aside from the fact that like you can get the CDs to listen to in your car.
Well, I mean,
just things that they say are references to old Final Fantasy games.
Brandon, that's why
all the time.
That's why I told you in DMs, dude. There is a hunt in Chapter 9 that you need to do, and I'm not gonna. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, stuff
Just
like
do
that. Like I can already like guess what it would be. Yeah.
You'll know what I'm talking about.
And that stuff is everywhere, and it's kind of like this game is kind of like a celebration. It's almost the 30th anniversary of Final Fantasy as a
series. Well, here's my thing, and this is mainly directed at Steve and Brandon, since we're all like we've all played every single Final. We're all huge Final Fantasy fans. This is the first one for me in a long time that has felt like it's giving me that classic Final Fantasy vibe. And I don't know, and who knows, maybe it's artificial, right? Like maybe
I think a lot of it is the soundtrack.
That's what
this is the most that Final Fantasy has sounded like what Uematsu was doing since 9.
Well, it might even be due to the fact that you can pick your fucking soundtrack in this game. Like I've been driving around the Regalia or riding around my Chocobo, listening to like the overworld theme from Final Fantasy VI. Excuse me. Or like the overworld or Cloud's theme from Final Fantasy VII, and maybe that adds to the classic Final Fantasy kind of aroma I'm getting from it. I don't know.
It does, but I think even just the original OST is very, very inspired by the older Final Fantasies. Whereas Final Fantasy 13, they try to do something completely new with the soundtrack.
The music in this game is
and 12
phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Speaking of Chocobos, real quick, like those are so fun to ride.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah,
it's ridiculous. I want a DLC system or something where you can breed them and like.
That's Final Fantasy VII, baby.
Is it?
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. And you can. I love the fact that you can like spray paint your Chocobos. It's just a neat little callback to because in Final Fantasy VII you could raise your Chocobos and get blue and red and black, and
they all had different properties about how they could.
Yeah, and I just thought that was a really cool little callback to some of the older games in the series. But like one
See,
thing,
that's something I loved, and I don't even know that. But like hearing you say that, that's I bet that's
It's a huge part of FF7.
Yeah,
and it's completely optional. I mean, you don't have to breed chocobos and stuff.
I mean, you really owe. Yeah, what I think
the main side quest.
Well, and like what I think would be cool for you, JT, would be like to finish 15, because it actually you actually sound higher on it than I thought you were going to be totally honest with you.
Well, it's got a lot of problems. Like I wanted to be positive about it just because like I haven't finished it yet, but like yeah, it's got some like hella dumb design decisions. Like
let's
the
talk about
camera's
the
awful
problems
in some parts. But
let's talk about the problems, and then I want to give my take on what I think about the game. But real quick before we do that, I just want to say, JT, I think it would be really cool for you to finish 15 and then go back and play some of the older games and see, oh, this is what they were referencing, or like, oh, I get this call out now, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's what I was talking about, like the world earlier. It's like it just feels so cool, and like so like the lore, I guess. It just feels like people who would be it's like Mass Effect for me. Like Andromeda is going to be like a celebration of like that, like the cool, like I'm just going to walk around that world with a huge smile on my face, and that's just what I envision you guys doing.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, pretty much. There is a lot of reverence for the old Final Fantasies in this one, in a way that like Final Fantasy 13 was trying to be its own thing, and that was actually true to Final Fantasy, because Final Fantasy has always been a series that's reinvented itself with every new iteration. But FF15 realizes that they kind of need to go back a little bit.
Well, let's talk about
introduction to the lore.
It's very similar to FF9 in that way.
Yeah,
I could see that.
Well, let's talk about what's wrong with the game, because I mean, no game is perfect. I mean, even games like The Last of Us have their blemishes. I mean, nothing is perfect. That's why I don't believe in anything ever getting a fucking 10. You know, like I hate scores anyway. But right off the bat, and I tweeted this out. Brandon, you can speak intelligently on this. Why are there no save points in dungeons?
Brandon loves the dungeons.
The dungeons themselves are fucking fantastic.
Yeah, they are.
But
I was in a story dungeon last night. I got all the way to the final boss and made a mistake and died. Totally my mistake. It was not a hard boss at all. I just fucked up. It sent me all the way back to the beginning of the dungeon. I had to do the dungeon like an hour over again.
An hour gone.
That is not a thing in Final Fantasy. Like even back to the Super Nintendo games, they put a save point right before the boss. You can use a tent, get full HP, and all.
Right.
Like you can't save in dungeons.
And you made a great point in DMs, Brandon. It's like, this isn't fucking Dark Souls. Like, why?
Come on. Dark Souls puts a fucking bonfire before the boss, like straight up.
Yeah, I mean, so where are the save points? Like, and I was actually, here's the thing, I've died, but I haven't died in a dungeon yet, so I was not even aware that the autosave doesn't click in dungeons. So when you told me, I was like, what? And I was like, yeah, mom, must be a glitch. But then I looked it up and I was like, no shit, you can't fucking save in dungeons.
Well, I mean that one I was talking about earlier, that had a campsite right before the Barbalos or whatever. What did you say?
The Bandersnatch.
Yeah, that guy. There was a campsite there where you could camp before that, and so that's how I knew, like, you know, oh, there's going to be something
that's
big
out in the
up here.
open world. Yeah, you can save anywhere in the world, but like
I
once
mean,
you go into a dungeon, you are locked.
There are some questionable designs, like obviously one of them is the lack of save points in dungeons, but I feel like the other one is, and again, this is just like I'm extremely high in the game. I love the game, but I mean nothing is perfect. And I'm like, for example, like Core, the character of Core was introduced early in the game, and he was around for like maybe half an hour, and I have not fucking seen him since.
No,
who?
Neither have I.
Core,
exactly.
Core, exactly, Core the
Exactly.
Immortal, fucking. And I was like, oh, cool, this guy's going to be like a badass, right?
And he was a pretty cool character. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he fucking, and here's the thing, he was like, well, happy trails. And then he left, and he was like, I'm going to go do my thing. I was like, okay, cool.
I mean, he is like the marshal.
Yeah.
I mean,
That guy.
He's
Yeah.
got
Cool.
I was like, don't worry, Core.
Cool.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to catch up with you later, Core. And then like 6 chapters later, I'm like, where's Core? I'm like, where the fuck happened to Core? Like, he couldn't have gone far. I mean, the open world's only so big. I mean,
it's not that huge. It's not that
kind of
huge.
like Shadow from Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah, he just fucking vanished. Only I get the sense we're not going to see Core again.
Shadow had huge story moments in the game though. So like
he did. Well, and so that leads me to another
one specifically huge story moment.
Maybe not a criticism, but maybe just a design choice I wouldn't have gone with. But like apparently there are cutscenes that will only happen when you sleep at like certain hotels. And if you don't sleep in that motel, you won't ever see it.
I got to do a race on the beach with Gladio today, and it was just a purely random
What?
thing
No
that happened.
shit.
Yep. Go down to Golden Quay and sleep at the campsite right outside the beach, and he will wake you up and he'll be like, "Let's go for a morning jog."
The trailer, or
shit.
is there like a actual like campsite where you camp, put your tent up?
Well, no, one of the campgrounds that you can make camp
Yeah.
at. There's one right outside of Golden Quay on the coastline.
All right.
And if you do that, like it'll be like a random event. And then there's also one if you sleep at the motel, Prompto will talk to you about
I got
it.
that one, yeah. So like, and apparently,
Yeah, most people seem to get that one.
apparently there are more of them, and I'm not sure what I think about that. That kind of like it worked in Final Fantasy VI. You know what I'm talking about, Brandon, with like Shadow and the and Realm.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't want to spoil it for JT because he hasn't played it yet. But I don't feel like that cuts the mustard in today's.
There's not enough mandatory story stuff for there to be optional story stuff.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like I feel like if these cutscenes had just been like somehow added into the game ad nauseum, like okay, well here it is. Now we've hit X point in the game, and now you get a cutscene with Prompto and it builds a relationship. Like I feel like that would have kind of tamped down.
That's like
a lot
the
of
only
complaints.
character development that's in the game, because otherwise they're all one-note characters.
Well,
and
they could still
good
do
one-note.
They could still do it if they mixed it around a little bit. I mean, there are just a lot of opportunities that they miss in pulling everybody in. It's really hard to explain, I guess, right? Because some of the moments feel empty when they shouldn't be. They should be a little bit more loaded with some kind of backstory or event.
Oh yeah, there's some moments that are just fall flat, like say Jared.
Yeah, hey Jared.
Alfred Hitchcock put out an interview, and it was him sitting there talking about direction in movies and suspense. And he said, imagine two people walking away from a diner, and then it explodes, and they're shocked, and they run away from the diner. He said, imagine that same scene, but before they get into the diner, you see someone go in and plant a bomb underneath the table. And now they're sitting at the diner, they're finishing their coffee, they're getting up, they're getting their coats, they're walking out, and then the same scene happens. It's just taking a little more time to develop that and make it mean something to the audience. And they're just not doing that. They're missing opportunities to do that.
Yeah.
So far in the game, I haven't played all that much.
Where are you
I'm on chapter
totally
8, and you're still right.
Steve, where are you at right now?
In the game?
Yeah. No, like physically. Yes, in the game.
It's relatively early.
Where's your mind at?
I'm actually on a pause screen for Justice Monsters 5.
Oh, okay. I haven't
played that once, and that was it, because it goes on forever.
Apparently, if you hit level 99, you get a really good accessory, so I'm gonna do it.
It goes on forever. I played like 45
my
minutes.
first
and
night
wasn't even close.
with Final Fantasy 15. That was like the highlight for me. It was like
I
the
can
best part.
absolutely see that. Yep.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
Final
they have an
Fantasy has
app.
always
They have
been
an
really
app
good
on the
minigames.
App Store. You can go download it and play it independently.
You
I've been playing that.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's so good. It's awesome. Yeah.
I mean,
I don't fucking
FF8 and 9 had card games. FF10 had Blitzball.
Blitzball was a fucking abomination on planet Earth. Like Blitzball was my least favorite thing in any Final Fantasy game ever. But like,
Yeah, let's say Justice Monsters 5 is considerably better than Blitzball.
Oh, come on. I liked Blitzball.
Better than
What?
Blind.
Oh, Blitzball was garbage.
This is going to be better, too, because I imagine if there's a way to keep people engaged in side quests and other procrastinations, put marriage at the end of the game.
Oh yeah.
Men are just going to drag their feet to the aisle. They'll be
That's
doing
why-
every side quest.
No, dude, that makes perfect sense. He's going to get married to Luna, and that's why he's, instead of like going to do that, he's running around the countryside. He's like anything to prevent me from going to get married. Like
There
he's like,
are
what?
a lot of side quests in this game.
He's like, what's that? We got. He's like, hey, baby, yeah, I'm gonna get there for the wedding as soon as possible. I just gotta go. I gotta do some side quests real quick, okay? So my boy,
my quest log is ridiculous.
I
have done
And
I have done a shitload of side quests.
It feels
and
like
is the list just
every
goes
side
on.
quest is almost the same in like structure too. It's
But the
like
thing is though,
They
JT,
are.
like, the combat is so good. I don't even care. Like I'm like any
Well, that's the
excuse to
thing.
get back to this
You
combat.
hope that once you get to the destination for the side quest, you have to do some combat. But
Well, and-
sometimes you
yeah.
don't, and it's really fucking boring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes it's true. Like what's his name? Dino, like, hey, go get me a
Yeah,
jewel.
Dino's
like,
quests are a waste of time.
Yeah, those are just quests to be quests. So there's no like narrative,
Yeah.
like there's nothing interesting about those. It's just like,
No,
oh hey,
no.
And
I have a new thing for you.
I gotta say, if Dino's voice actor is not nominated for best performance at the Game Awards this year, like there's gonna be riots in the street because
That's true,
Dino.
yeah.
Wait, Dino,
Hey,
you say?
Yeah. Hey,
Whatever.
it's not this. What's going on with yous? Why don't you go get me some jewels? Yeah, she. Dino is the fucking worst. I'm only
I'm not
gonna
a fan of Dino.
I'm only gonna do his quest because I want platinum. That's the only reason. But like,
You only have to do 80 side quests to get the platinum.
but like, here's the other thing,
Way more.
right? It's like I'm addicted to fucking hunts. One, because the combat is so good, but two, because they're challenging. Like, and that's the thing about
Sure.
the combat.
Hunts
That's
are
the
the
thing
best thing about the combat and the
You
quest system. Yeah.
really have to block parry and use the warp strikes. Like
Well,
you have to
and-
warp. I mean, because your warp strike damage is affected by the distance at which you warp strike. So usually, if you can like warp up to the high ground and then warp strike in, it deals like 3.3 times damage.
Well, it's like here's the thing for me, right? Is like, and
And
I
restores your MP and all that.
I can't stress this enough. Like, and we've talked about this in our SDGC DMs. Is that there's really no like, because at first I was doing all these side quests, right? Like in chapter 3, chapter 4, and I was like, shit, I'm like fucking 10 levels above I was like, oh, shit, I'm getting over leveled. So I stopped for a while, but then I realized like being over leveled doesn't mean shit in Final Fantasy 15 because you will still get your ass handed to you.
I'm level 38 right now, I think, and I just had trouble with like a level 27.
Yeah, I mean,
Not trouble, but it wasn't just like I held down circle and won.
I mean, these enemies, especially some of these hunts, even if they're like 10 levels below you, they will wreck your fucking shit. If you're
not blocking their attacks, they will take off like a third of your health bar.
A third of your fucking So which is another thing. Now apparently there's a patch coming out either next week or the week after, sometime in December. And it's going to add a few things. So you're going to get a level cap creator, which basically like, okay, at this point, I think the way it works is that like you can just choose to stop leveling up. I think that's how it works. There's going to be multiplayer coming, if you can believe that, like co-op.
Why would you choose to stop
that's
leveling
just
up?
like one mission, isn't though? Like
No. Apparently, you'll be able to co-op the entire game.
I don't believe that.
I
That
don't
would be
know.
an insane patch, dude. Come on.
I don't know. We'll see. That is my understanding. Now, if anybody in chat knows differently, then please.
I mean, it would be at least.
Are you
paid
talking
DLC.
about like
Run on the
stuff that's
beach together.
included with the season pass?
Yeah. Yes. No. So as far as no, because you're right. That's the DLC.
You know that thing that you still haven't got.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Shut up. But no, like as far as the actual like patch goes, like on the PS4 Pro, there's going to be like a 60 frames a second option, and hopefully they patch out the issues that it has with frame pacing running on high mode because it is there. I'm playing it on a PS4 Pro, and when you put it on high resolution. I mean, when you're flipping the camera out, it absolutely catches. Like it does have frame pacing issues. I mean, you can't deny that.
That was a big thing that hit me once I first started the game was just in the tutorial mission that
bad
the frame pace was awful. But then it got better in the full game on light, like you said.
And that's the thing. Like if you're playing the full game and you put it on light, which still looks gorgeous. I mean, Final Fantasy 15 is a good looking fucking game. If you're playing it on light, it runs fine. It runs perfect. In fact, I haven't seen like a single. In fact, if you're playing it on light, it actually for all the fucking chaos of battle, like I haven't seen like a single frame rate drop. It's running pretty well for me. It makes my fucking PS4 sound like a jet plane taking off, but it's running well. So I guess that's something.
So
I'm
going back to the
PS4.
Going back to the multiplayer stuff real quick, I'm looking at the season pass right now. It's like
it
says like holiday pack, booster pack, and then like you got your independent episodes for the characters, Gladiolus, Ignis, Prompto, and then you have a multiplayer expansion, Comrades. That's all it says. So I took that as okay, we're just gonna have like a separate thing where you can have like co-op missions, and in my mind it sounds a lot like Final Fantasy 14 where you're just like like collaborating online together in its own like separate deal. But I mean I could be totally wrong.
And that's the thing, we don't really like that. That's I
We
guess
don't know.
Yeah, that's speculation on my part. Like when I saw multiplayer, I was assuming that you'd be able to fucking co-op the game or something. Which I guess I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it's not.
And
I
we
have no
still
idea.
have the PSVR experience thing coming too. Apparently, I don't know. That's not included.
I don't even.
Oh,
I mean,
so
you're the only one of the VR or PSVR, so you'll be the one telling.
I remember the
us about it.
trailer
I
for
get
that. I
to
was
pet
like,
my
well, that's
chocobos
terrible.
in real time.
That's
Like,
pretty
crap.
sick, dude. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
not-
Yeah, pet
not
your
wait.
chocobos. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's no wrong way to love a chocobo, so there's nothing wrong with that, man. I'm not going to judge you. I want to ask you guys this. Like, Steve, have you met Arden yet?
No. I'm
Okay.
about 5 hours in. I'm not really sure where on the map I am because I've been wandering around.
I'll tell you this right now. Like, the villain in this game gives me the straight up fucking Kefka vibes. Like,
Okay.
no bullshit. From his appearance to his mannerisms down to his theme, he's totally fucking Kefka.
Huh.
He's totally fucking Kefka, dude.
I don't agree with that, but all right, we'll let Steve make up his mind.
How do you not see that?
Not even close. Not even a little bit.
You don't think so?
No,
Why not? I want to hear why.
that would be spoilers.
Okay, all right.
That would be big time spoilers. I've gotten pretty far in the game. I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, I won't say that.
So the boss fight, I imagine I haven't gotten to the end of the game, but it's something like, if anyone has any objection to these two being wed, or what, the last line in the marriage, and then he stands up and you have the boss battle, or is that how it's going to go? What is
That's going to be the final boss.
villainous role? Like, I don't, in this road trip theme, like what is his villainous character?
I mean,
persona?
honestly, not much. Like, I mean,
But, well, like I said, like from what I've read, chapters 9 through 15, which is the end of the game, they're they're very linear, but they're also longer. So with that, then the missions you've done in the first half of the game, and chapter 9 is really where the story like all of a sudden fucking explodes. Like all of a sudden you're like, okay, here we go, it's story time. That's when like everybody's little machinations become made known, and so. And again, like I have not reached chapter 9. I'm almost there, but that is what I've heard. Unfortunately, before the game came out, I accidentally had the final boss spoiled for me because I was watching a stream of what he'd said, like opening hour of Final Fantasy 15, and I clicked on it, and he's right in the middle of fighting the last boss, and I was like, "Thanks, asshole. Appreciate that." So yeah, I know what the final boss is, unfortunately. But aside from that, I don't know what happens in chapter 9 through. Like, I don't know what happens before that. But I'm very much looking forward to finding out. So I don't like numbered reviews, but I want to start with Brandon. Like Brandon, if you had to rate this right now, like if you had to put a number on your fucking experience right now, like what would you give it?
8.5 or 9.
Okay. All right.
But definitely, yeah. I have to obviously finish the game.
You got to finish the game first.
Lock
Yeah,
down a hard score. Yeah.
JT, what about you? Like, if you're reviewing your time with it so far.
I don't know. It's so like Final Fantasy 15 has been kind of like an up and down experience for me. In everything I've done so far, like the world, the story, everything. It's hard to put a number to that because it's like one moment, like the first 3 hours, I was like, hell yeah, dude, this is awesome. And then like I went into my first dungeon and like the camera was all over the place. The combat was just pissing me off because like the camera was stuck behind a wall for like a minute straight. I couldn't move or do anything. I'm like, come on, man. Like, so I was like really down on it. So it's like it's been like a 9 in some places and it's been like a 6 in some places. So
Yeah, me too.
It's hard for me to really nail it down. But like I think I have some more to talk about with like the design decisions and stuff that I'm frustrated with.
Speak on it, man. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, it's just like I said earlier, how I feel like this game is kind of has one foot in the 1990s and then one foot is in the modern times. It's just like the simple stuff, like not being able to sell treasures like all at the same time. You have to go through.
I don't understand
individual treasures, like the X button whenever like you're running around and like picking up the things from the world.
I'm so sick of jumping at buttons.
Yeah, like there's stuff like that. It's like make that triangle or something to pick stuff up. Like I don't want to like jump 3 times in a row, whatever. I'm trying to like get on my chocobo. It's
talk
just
to
like
a shop owner and do fucking anything. Yeah.
They're jumping up and down trying to talk to somebody.
It bothers me too.
It just feels like it just feels like it's not a PS4 game in that regard. Like they didn't change that from whenever they first started development. Like only the graphics around it changed. Like the stealth missions, the mandatory stealth missions, like that is where I almost put the game down completely. Like, because it was never clear to me that you could do like stealth executions without people seeing you. Like I tried doing that the first 2 times and it glitched out.
I distinctly remember the warp strike tutorial about stealth kills.
Yeah, in that first one, and then like you get to the one where you have to like tail the captain and you cannot be seen. It's an insta fail if you're seen.
Oh, I thought that was super easy though.
It was once you figured out that you could like kill the people, but in that I'm talking about in that mission, it was never clear to you that you could insta kill people. And the couple of times that I tried to do it, like I just attacked them instead of like warp striked them or warp killed them or whatever it's called.
Then you hit the wrong button.
Yeah, I know, but like
you
can't like because I was behind cover and I was trying to kill them from behind cover, and it's not an instant kill if you warp to them from behind cover. So it's just like mechanics. Yeah, you guys probably like got.
Yeah, I never ran into that because I did it more straight.
But I mean, that was frustrating to me because it wasn't clear. That happened to me, but it didn't happen to you guys.
Let's be clear, the game is not Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so that was frustrating. I know Jeff, if he was still here, he was frustrated on the same part.
Warned me about it.
Yeah, so it's just like the culmination of all these different like little things that get in the way of like my enjoyment of the game. It's hard to like peg like a for sure 8 because I have some times where I just want to like put it down. And this is like the one game I can remember out of all recent releases that I've been so finicky on, so up and down on. Like I'm enjoying the shit out of myself whenever I'm like roaming around and doing hunts and stuff, but I get to a dungeon and I'm just like, man, I hate this game.
It's a dangerous trap. Like I don't trust my own first impressions on this game because I went through a cycle with Final Fantasy 13 that I've never gone through with any other game. I went to the midnight launch of Final Fantasy 13, played through it in a couple days, and I came out of it as an apologist, as a defender, because I mean, that game is divisive right from day one. People were shitting on it.
Brady, do you think it's because you're such a diehard Final Fantasy fan? You were like, I'm gonna force myself to.
No, I have pretty good read on why I felt that way at the time. It's because I enjoyed 13's combat system.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it a lot. Like I really did like 13's combat system. However, that was good enough for me for the 50 hours that I played through it at the time. I was powering through it because I was enjoying the combat system. And then months later, I was like, well, the combat system goes away. You're not playing the game anymore. What are you thinking about months later? You're thinking about the characters, the story, the dialogue, the boss fights and stuff. And none of that stuff stuck out to me anymore. And then I realized, and then I read more discussion about the game, more in-depth discussion about the flaws of it, and I realized the only reason I played through Final Fantasy 13 was because the combat system, and everything else was terrible.
Do you feel like?
And so I turned on the game.
Do you feel like you're gonna feel that way about 15?
I mean, maybe, yeah, maybe I will, because this. I mean,
I know it's hard to say because you haven't finished it yet, but just
in 6 months, will I be looking back on Final Fantasy 15 and be like, oh, I love the combat system at the time, but there's nothing else that I liked about it, and then it turns into another Final Fantasy 13 for me. It's possible.
So here's my thing. Here's my thing. Right now, as it stands, and this is purely, this is premature maybe because I'm just about halfway through the game maybe. But right now, it is one of my favorite Final Fantasy games, right behind 6. Because when this game was announced, it was Final Fantasy versus 13, right? I know that's a ridiculous thing to say, where I'm halfway through it and it's already one of my favorites since 6. Now that may change depending on whether or not the game falls apart in the back end, right? And it totally could. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. But Final Fantasy versus 13 was announced in 2006. Now my son wasn't born. He's 8.5 years old. He wasn't fucking born when this game was announced. The iPads didn't exist when this game announced. I was still using
the iPhone didn't exist either.
iPhone didn't exist. I was using a fucking flip phone. We all were in 2006.
Super Rub-a-Dub was my most anticipated game.
I still had Super Rub-a-Dub. I still had fucking 2 years left in the Marine Corps in 2006. I was in Afghanistan when this game was announced.
I was a week away from graduating boot camp.
It was fucking unbelievable. So Final Fantasy has kind of a long storied history for me. Like Final Fantasy came around at a time for me in my life that was really bad. Like really, I was going through a lot of abuse. And Final Fantasy VI, I've said it before, saved me in a lot of ways. And so the series has always had like a special kind of like a special meaning to me. Like even the games I didn't care for as much as others, like 13 or 8, I still like, you know, like I may shit on Final Fantasy 8 all the time, but at the end of the day, it's a Final Fantasy game, and there's still things
I would much rather play Final Fantasy 8 than like you know, generic RPG number 7.
Exactly, yeah. So 15 for me, after 10 years, Final Fantasy 13 was the first game in the series that didn't give me that warm like cup soup feeling. You know what I mean? Like that comfort food feeling of playing a Final Fantasy game and getting engrossed in it. I played 13 and it just did not feel like a Final Fantasy game. And I was like, okay. I mean, it was a good game, but a bad Final Fantasy is the way I look at 13. But 15 gives me those old school Final Fantasy feels, and I find myself like mentally.
Plus, you can make your own soup.
I can make my own soup. Exactly. Thank you, Ignis. And you know, like I feel myself mentally slipping back to, you know, 1994. You know, up in my room on a Saturday night at 2 a.m, bleary-eyed. You know, suplexing Phantom Trains with Saban, and you know, like it kind of brought me back to what was a difficult time in my life, but also a very happy time, because I kind of found that game that defined me as a gamer. And Final Fantasy 15 is the first game since, you know, it's the first Final Fantasy game in years, over a decade, that has given me that feeling. And I appreciate it for that. And so far, I don't know. I mean, so far I'm in love with it. So yeah, right now it's my second favorite in the series behind 6, and who knows if that'll change or not. But right now it just the emotions it kind of brings up in me. I don't know. It means a lot to me. It makes me feel like that 14-year-old again. So that's how I feel about it. Steve, I know you're not. Go ahead, man.
Oh, I mean, I was just gonna say that's cool to hear you say, you know, that it takes you back to that time. Just that, and that's what makes me want to go back and play the older Final Fantasies, is because I feel like I'm missing out on, you know, such a cool experience. You know, like these classic characters and
many of them, not all of them, but many of them.
Yeah, like really, like 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, I mean they're good games, but the ones you really need to play are 4, 5, 6, and 7. Like
even. I mean, five was great for introducing the job system and all that, but nobody really cares about Bart's and all.
4, 6, 7, and 9 are the ones you need to play.
That's why I feel though that like this is what they say. You know, it's a Final Fantasy for fans and first timers, because it makes you want to be a part of the fanfare.
It's a little bit like the new Star Wars when it came out. Like, just a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, that's a great way of putting it.
It's almost like a reboot.
Yeah.
Like Steve, and we'll wrap up with this, because I know we really wanted to go an hour. But Steve, now you're not as far into the game as the rest of us, but what are but you also are. I mean, just look at your avatar. You are also a longtime Final Fantasy fan. What are your feelings on 15 based on what you've played so far?
Well, I'm excited about it, but I don't want to put too much stock into it just yet. I really have to play through all of it, and I'm hoping it's going to be good. But I'm reluctant to embrace some of the problems with it right away, like the story, and you know, combat's good, but I'm not sure how long it'll last. I guess it's kind of like that weird potato battle thing. Like, I really wanted it to be good. The combat was great. It was kind of an epic charge, but when I got there, to be fair, it was more than one potato. But it was several potatoes that I couldn't be excited about. You know, like that. I wanted to be.
You wanted a new sword. You wanted like.
You wanted like the ultimate. Yeah.
I just thought it was part of the story. You
wanted a new piece of materia. You wanted something, you know, like something.
I just thought it was going to be relevant in some way, because there wasn't a lot on the map. But yeah, I'm a little worried that I'm going to get through all of it. It's still going to be epic in some respect, but I'm going to get there and be like, so what? So I hope I get to the end of the game and feel differently, but I want it to be good. So far, it's really exciting. The group dynamic is interesting. I thought I'd be kind of averse to the characters. I mean, on the cover art, the introductions and the trailers, I'm like, I don't really see myself liking these characters. That melts away almost immediately. And there is a group dynamic, and I do pick up on it, JT. If nothing else from the jumping before every action, that it is kind of like Dragon Age. And the group feel.
Are you playing up front on Control Option C? Because I mean, I know you're a huge fan of Inquisition, so like I feel like you'd be right at home there.
Yeah, it's all right. It's been fun so far.
So like, that's a weird thing is like the bros themselves are a lot more relatable than that fucking awful boy band cover would have you believe.
Right.
No, they
That is
really
some of the
are. They're
worst
actually
box
really,
art.
really.
That is some
are.
of the worst fucking box art I have ever seen in my life. I'm like, God, what were you thinking? Especially considering the steelbook.
I went
like-
with the yes.
Yeah,
Got the
dude, that looks so fucking.
Nice, pretty steelbook here.
That looks so fucking good.
Take
Yeah,
that out
but
of the cover. It looks pretty good.
I've actually got the. I picked up the hardcover strategy guide. It's around here somewhere, but it's really.
How much
it's
did that
really-
cost? As much as the game itself?
No, it was like $25.
No way. The hardcover?
Yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna grab it, dude, because you got.
Aren't like regular ass papers, regular ass ones like fucking $20 by themselves?
I bought it. I bought it. You know, obviously for the second playthrough. But dude, it's a good looking book, man. Like
Sure.
it's simple.
That
and
does look
classy.
nice. Yeah.
Is
And
that
it's
a
got
stuffed
everything in there.
snake in the background?
No, that's actually an alien chest burster.
Oh, my
Not a
mistake.
snake.
Nice.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
But yeah, those are my impressions up front. It's fun. I'm reluctant to say it's going to be great, but so far so good. I could totally see this speeding up and really capturing my attention. I think the Luminous Studios engine is good. I think they should have rolled it out on more games before
agree.
bringing it to 15. They could have worked out some of these bugs. And actually, they probably could have made some money in the process because it's really engrossing. But maybe they were just saving it for their, I don't know, their big.
Their big
franchise.
title. They fucking bet the bank on
Well,
this game.
Jeff
Well,
said this
what-
first, but he said that he wanted a Final Fantasy Monster Hunter on this engine, and I totally
You got
agree
it.
with that.
I mean, the hunts are the best part.
The hunts are great.
They are.
Cards are great.
And actually,
well,
that's much different than the MMOs. They introduced MMOs in, or the hunts in Final Fantasy 14, and I did not like them as much. Even though you could do them with friends, you'd have like 30 people show up to a hunt, and you'd never really see the mechanics of the target, the bounty. Everybody would just immediately
Spam.
slay it.
Cool. Yeah.
So, and then actually people would show up late and be like, "Why didn't you wait for me?" Because they were shouting in the chat.
well,
So the hunts were really bad in 14, much better in 15. Probably the best part so far for me.
I'll say this: the game itself, like sales wise, is off to a good start. Apparently, it's the fastest selling title in the franchise title in the franchise so far.
That's not surprising. Their marketing has been so above and beyond for this game.
It really has, and apparently the game is selling very well. I mean, it's like the number 2 selling game on Amazon for November, and it only came out at the very fucking end of the month.
What's number 1?
Pokemon Sun and Moon,
Okay.
because it sold like a
that
bajillion
game sold
fucking
like
copies.
5 million
Yeah.
copies.
That's insane.
In a day.
Pokemon
I'm like,
Go,
what the
yeah.
fuck? It sold like 3.7
Pokemon
million
Go,
copies
man. It's
in a
my brother still
day.
plays Pokemon Go daily.
They've
But-
been updating Pokemon. Like the second generation is coming soon for that. Like they're still like supporting that game, even though like a lot of people left.
But yeah, I'm gonna. So
I mean, they
so-
were bound to. Like their numbers were never sustainable. Like, it was a phenomenon.
No mobile game is.
So yeah, this is pretty impressive. Like Final Fantasy 15 came out on the 29th, and it is the number 2 selling game on Amazon for the month of November. So that's pretty
I
impressive.
mean, that counts pre-orders. I think.
Pre-orders as well.
Sure.
But still, I mean, not bad. So the game is off to a great start. It actually was critically received far better than I think most people anticipated.
It reviewed better than 13.
It did. It did. And this is an age where I feel like critics are far harsher than they were in the 8th gen, and which is good. I like it. We've talked about this before. Last gen, I feel like 9s and 10s were just thrown out like fucking candy bars to games.
They were from a lot of places. Yeah.
And it's not the case. Like Uncharted
Not
4,
Twilight Princess.
Not Twilight Princess, but I mean, but like like Uncharted 4 got an 8.8 from IGN, right? And I think that if 15 had released during last gen, it would have scored in the 9s most likely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Especially because the open world was more unique.
Yeah. So yeah, those are our thoughts on 15.
Fingers crossed for some FF7 remake news at PSX tomorrow.
Well, I can tell you what. Right now, speaking of PSX tomorrow, we will be live streaming the hour-long show tomorrow. I think it starts at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I got to double check that.
Be
Is
at work.
it 1 p.m.?
Yep.
Oh, Brandon, you're not going to be there?
10 p.m. Pacific. No, I got to work tomorrow.
Oh, Brandon, calling sick, man. Join us,
I
dude.
no, I've missed every PSX because it's always Saturday morning.
Brandon,
So
Brandon,
great timing,
you
yeah.
sound you sound sick, man. You should call in.
Dude, I'm
and
not
hang out
calling
with us,
off
dude.
work to watch an hour-long press conference. I'm sorry.
But considering that everybody on this panel, and maybe not Steve because he doesn't look at the fucking DMs like he should,
Yeah.
but considering we all know what's going to be there, like maybe this is the one you want to take off. Maybe this is the day you call in sick. Just roll it around your head. Roll it around your head.
Get
Think
hype
about-
chat for that, by the way.
The PSX when they showed off Final Fantasy VII remake trailer last year at
Yeah,
PSX?
yeah.
I had to see it through Twitter gifs on my phone
Gabe and I were watching
until I was able to get home and actually watch the trailer.
Gabe and I were the only. Like Gabe and I were streaming it together, and we were like, "Holy shit, where's Brandon?" I was, dude. You remember I was like tweeting you? I was like,
Yeah,
"Brandon."
my phone fucking blew up. I was
Yeah.
like, what is going on? All these people tweeting at me. Like, oh, Jesus.
So
Real
you
quick.
guys don't want to say the scoop, or you just want to tease it, or
No,
what's
we're
going
not.
on?
No,
What is
we're not.
this?
All I'm saying, I'll tell you what. We'll tell you after we go off the air.
We'll give the people listening a hint. You know. No.
That'd be hard to do without giving it away.
Yeah, I really would.
So they really just want to watch it then.
I'm just gonna say that you guys really need to watch PSX tomorrow, and if you're gonna watch PSX tomorrow, you might as well do it with your friends at SDGC. So tune in at 1 p.m. Hopefully, Brandon will decide to spend the day with his buddies and revel in our awe.
It'll be
at what
okay.
we reveal tomorrow.
I'll come home shortly after. And
Real quick,
watch
one
all the cool
prediction.
trailers.
One prediction that you
All right, let's
know
hear it.
is not going to be there. Like, no, I'm asking. For
Okay. All right.
one that you know that's not already going to be there.
Brandon, you go first.
What's
Final
not going to
Fantasy
be there?
16.
The new Gran Turismo.
Brandon.
Gran
Brandon
Turismo
won't,
Sport. Let's
Brandon
say
won't be there. Brandon
that's
won't
not
be there
going to be
tomorrow.
there. Yeah. Let's say that.
Brandon
my
won't be
guess.
there tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'll say Nap 2.
Death Stranding won't be there.
Death Stranding absolutely will not be there. And
Kojima blew his load last night.
that fucking show, Flunky.
That trailer was fucked up.
Dude, I'm really sad, JT, that you and Steve couldn't be there last night because
Oh, I would have been like,
Dude.
like one continual, like how you type out FUCK. I would just, my finger would have been on the FU.
so many memes were born last night. Like how many registered losers were there?
Registered 26 million registered
26
losers.
million registered losers. Why are you yelling?
Why are you yelling? That was my favorite moment. The director of Deadpool asked the interviewer why she was yelling at him.
And then Brandon, and then she says, "Because I'm paid to be excited."
Because she said replies, "Because I'm paid to do this." It was amazing. It was amazing.
We lost.
Dude,
it.
that really made me want to go out and buy some razors, though. Like that.
They had a dude
those shit
dressed
cats.
up as a fucking razor.
like I get it, I
There's a Photoshop this morning of Jeff Keighley chopped into the Gillette costume.
Oh, wow.
I'll say this about I'll say this about PSX tomorrow. If you like fungus, you should watch it.
Fungus Among Us.
If you like fungusy type things, you should watch PSX tomorrow. That's all I'm going to say. But anyway, we'll go and cut it off.
I don't even get that one. I'm just trying to think of what it is.
Think about it, man. Think about it. You know what I'm talking about.
I don't though. But it's
If
a
you-
good,
I'll
it's
tell
a
you
good
what.
hint.
I'll tell you what.
Out.
If you like fungus, and you're a fan of classical things,
Okay.
those are two separate things. Then you should tune in tomorrow. That's all I'm going to say. But anyway, we will go ahead.
Exclusive Mozart
What was that, Brandon?
Let's wrap this shit.
soundtrack.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. All right, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and cut it off here. Don't forget to join us tomorrow. We'll be live streaming PSX except for Brandon because he got to fucking work.
It's okay.
Yeah,
I'll live. I'm not too worried about it.
join us tomorrow. Go buy PlayStation or Jesus. Go buy Final Fantasy 15. Go play that shit. We'll see you guys later.
Peace.
Later.